So we're carrying on week 3, finding sanity in a crazy world. We're going to look at a traditional teaching of the Buddha 2,500 years ago of obstacles, hindrances to what get in the way of us being able to focus. So it can be a very helpful tool for just getting to know yourself in a very practical way. So that would be the focus today. So we talked about this idea of when we talk about the mind, chitta, we're also including the heart, and we're also including the body. So see if you can look out for that view that when you're about to sit, that is something you're doing with your brain. We're trying to sort of demolish that view. Yeah, it's something we do with the whole of our being. And we talked about meditation practice traditionally being split into 2 types. Samatha, which are practices which are calming, which help us rest, to settle. They help us develop absorption and focus. And then there's also this tradition of meditation, which is also about seeing things more clearly, if you like. That's the clarity, coming away from madness to actually kind of knowing how things work. What you might find happens in the sit that we do just now is, some of you might be car drivers. It's this sort of experience of sort of accelerating and taking your foot off the gas. It kind of can have a pulse, a rhythm to the meditation where you apply a bit more effort, you ease off a bit. Okay, maybe I need a bit more effort here. And so that's the spirit that we're going to go into this short sit. Mindfulness is an aspect of meditation, and meditation can have lots of different focuses. So it might be that our focus is to reflect on how things really are. We might want to stay with exploring change as being an aspect of our experience, for example. Or we could say, for this period of meditation, I want to explore mindfulness, what it means to see if I can bring all of my attention to one aspect of my experience. What's really going on when you meditate is that by the stilling and the quietening, you get to see actually the grooves of your mind, what they get up to all the time actually. But most of the time we don't have that degree of mindfulness to notice where the mind is going. Yeah? So it can sort of feel like you go to sit to meditate and, oh my God, who is this person? What is going on? But what I'd like to invite you rather to think of this is, oh, this is going on all the time. So what the Buddha said is, to be a human being, there's probably, in the way that he saw it as awakened human being from a perspective of great clarity, was that it seems as human beings we fall into 5 ways of kind of coming away from what's going on right now. There seems to be 5 main ways we do this, and the invitation is that all of these examples you've given will fall into one of these categories. So let's see if we think that is actually true. They're called hindrances. They're not called gold dust. That's my term for them, to try and see them as teachings, that they're trying to actually sprinkle me with gold and to take me in a good direction. So be restlessness and anxiety. So that's the Buddha kind of saying what Adrian was saying there. Whenever we have an experience where we just want to get up and move, for example, or we just can't keep still, it can be on that level of physical restlessness. So that's quite gross. Can just sometimes take all our effort just to stay sitting, can't it? And more subtle might be it's the restlessness of the mind. yeah, that it's just on the move, it just won't stop. The space between thoughts seems very, very fast. Sloth and torpor, I never heard this outside of, but that's traditionally, in other words, sleepiness. You know, when you feel absolutely fine, quite energetic, quite wide awake, and then you go to meditate, and within about 5 minutes, you know, your head's doing that thing of kind of. Why I'm giving you the traditional teachings is it doesn't mean you're doing anything weird. It's just, it seems to be this is how we're wired as human beings when we meditate. This is kind of what happens. The next two are like, they're like one coin really, they go together, they flip about. So we've got desire, sense experience, ill will and aversion. So desire, sense experience is kind of when you get completely fixated on, in the meditation, that everything would only be better if. So, I don't know, I ring the bell so we can hurry on to the third stage. I like the third stage. Or you start fixating on food, you know, something you're going to have to eat later for lunch, or it might be sex, or just something which feels it would be more pleasurable than this right now, whatever that is, you know, that feeling of, if I could just move my foot, everything would be okay. You get fixated on something pleasant. So that's desire for sense experience. And then ill will, aversion, obviously the opposite. You get fixated on something that's really uncomfortable. Needs quite a strong handle and focus is the doubt and indecision. You know, the one that is kind of telling you, I've got a kind of painful body, I'll never be able to do this. Or sometimes it can be a little bit of a breath of fresh air, just to say, okay, it's sense desire, I want something more pleasant. We don't need to go into the ins and outs of it. Or, okay, I'm just feeling irritable, this is ill will, that's all it is. I'm a human being, it's not a big deal. Or, okay, there's doubt again. Doubt, you know, that's I'd say my main hindrance after all these years. So there's principles for working with the hindrances. So the first principle with working with a hindrance is you acknowledge it's there. So you just try and name it. You just try and say, okay, I'm mindful of this hindrance is present. The second principle is to have confidence that you can work with the hindrance, that it's not kind of an impossible force that will take you away and there's nothing you can do. And the other third principle working with these hindrances is you start from where you are. So it's this idea that if you've set the meditation to be mindful of the breath and the body, and you're being taken over with a fantasy about what you're going to get up to later in the day, that's where you have to start. You know, it's no point kind of trying to force yourself back onto the breath immediately. There'll just be resistance. So you're going to kind of just accept, okay, so this is where I'm at. I'm in the land of sense desire. Let's start here. One method that can work very well is just to think about the consequences if you just let that hindrance carry on. So I don't know, I get the idea that, I'm not enjoying the meditation, I might just well get up and make a cup of tea. You know, that's restlessness, that's anxiety. Another method for counteracting the hindrance is to have what we call a sky-like mind. So it's this idea that often when there's a hindrance, we get very tunnel visioned. It's like we can't let it go, we can't think of anything else. And we just see if we can expand awareness out. We just see if we can have an awareness that's just a lot bigger. Then the last thing we can do is commit to our potential to change. We commit to, in Buddhist terms, our going for refuge. this idea that we have unlimited potential for change, and this actually isn't all that we are.